who lost their son Michael this week. We send our sincere heartfelt sympathy to them and their families. So,
Okay, let's bow and pray. Our Father, how we just thank you tonight that we can come together as a town to take care of town business. Lord, I just thank you for every single thing you do for us. And I just pray tonight for those that have lost a loved one, for the Wilsons, that you will be with them and give them peace and contentment. And Lord, that you will be with Scott's father and be with Valerie's mother, Lord, and just, we know that you can work miracles. We pray that you will do so in these situations. Lord, I thank you for our mayor, for our staff, for our town council members, and pray that you will guide them tonight in everything that's said and done. We give you the glory. We pray in your name.
Amen. Now, if we all stand, we'll say our pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we'll have our introductions. Julie, if you would please start us off.
I'm Julie Reed, town planner.
Martin Hoffman,
Mike Adams.
Gina Barnes,
Tim Sessoms.
Elizabeth McClellan. Alicia Flowers.
Scott Whitaker, town manager.
Trina Weir, finance officer.
William Hill, town attorney.
Good, thank you. And now on to our consent agenda, which includes the meeting agenda, adoption of the open and closed session minutes from the 8/12 meeting, and then also financial report. Would anyone like to make a motion, or does anyone have questions?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion by Ms. McClellan,
second.
second by Ms. Flowers. Everyone in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Any announcements? Anyone have any announcements?
I've got a couple of things, just reminders. At September the 13th, this Saturday, we're having 2 free events in town. One of them is a touch and truck event for kids to come out and crawl over different vehicles and learn more about those, and that's going to be at our athletic park from 10 o'clock to noon, rain or shine. And then this Saturday evening, we're having a Music in the Park event, and it's the Stephen LeGree Band out of Greensboro, and they've got a pretty good following, and I'd like to invite everybody out from 6 until 8:30 this evening, and that's here at the Community Center over at the amphitheater where we normally have the Music in the Park events. And if you want more information, the easy thing to do is grab a flyer off the table when you're leaving this evening. Also, Saturday, October the 11th, we'll have another summer cycle recycling event, and that will be at Laughlin Professional Development Center, and that's from 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. And it's free open to all residents. We're going to be accepting tires, large appliances, electronics, personal documents up to 5 boxes, no business waste accepted, and I think mattresses right now is potentially on hold, but we'll keep you posted on that. That's a new wrinkle in that, but check back with us. We'll keep you posted on that.
Okay.
That is October the 11th. That's a Saturday morning.
Those 2 events were free to the public?
Yes,
Whole community or just local?
whole community.
Any other announcements? So folks, as always, we'll enter into a time of public comments, and if you'd like to take an opportunity, the only thing we ask you to do is to fill out a little slip of paper over there. You can fill it out with your name and your address. When you come up, if you would, please give us your name and your address, and then you have 5 minutes to discuss whatever you'd like to discuss or talk about any topics you'd like to talk about. I know there are many of you here from SRA, and we appreciate you all coming and being here. You all have individually have 5 minutes. Public comments is we have 30 minutes slotted for that, so anything up to that time frame, we're good to go with that. I would encourage you, though, if you have something to say and the person in front of you says what you were going to get up and say, you may just want to stand up and give your name and your address and say, hey, I agree with that person, so we'll have the opportunity to hear more people. So that's the only thing I would encourage you on that. So if I can get the slips, that's good.
That's you.
And post you continue, sir. Okay. They just send the slip. We'll go ahead and start. I'm just going to take them in order that they're given to me. And we'll begin with Mr. Frank Fickle.
Good evening. Frank Fickle, 6300 Westcott Drive. A couple of things. I don't know that much about the athletic situation, but I would hope that the town would take into consideration and not use the children as the ploy that's in the middle of this situation, whatever it might be there. I know they're talking about finance situations and costs and stuff there, but our kids are important. And I think that the town needs to absorb something, to have the kids playing. It's a great opportunity. It keeps them out of video games and everything else there. So I just wanted to mention that. About the trails of the Greenway. Has the town considered the maintenance and the upkeep of this? I've done some research on it there. I know it's costly. It could be quite costly to maintain these trails and stuff. I know there were some comments made in the past about the trails in the back over here, though. I mean, the lack of keeping them maintained. That, and it's just if we keep our focus on reworking the development ordinance to better serve the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Adrian Williams.
My name's Adrian Wilson. I live at 3901 Lewis Road. I've probably spent 30 minutes, but I ain't got much time. And I probably run out of interview at that time. But I appreciate y'all putting up with me. I'll probably say this, I'll go to round because y'all are on mine. But one thing about the trails, I read in the Northwest Observer where it was put in there that how anyone could say that the town of Summerfield had always wanted greenways and trails. And that put in there that we did. And I was one of the men that went out and talked to people about incorporating this town. And the main thing we talked about, and I know you've heard it since you've been mayor, no taxes and no services. So it couldn't have been that this town, ever since it's been incorporated, has wanted trails. There's no way. And of course, since the last meeting, you had a lot of people there that was wanting to have trails. And then after the question was asked 2 or 3 times, it turned out a load of tears. The tears of crowds sometimes. Yeah, you got them under control. And I know that we had 3 surveys that I knew of that was filled out by the citizens of Summerfield. And the last time, they done it on the computer and let anybody vote, they didn't have to live in Summerfield. And they couldn't even get enough votes to make it work in. They had to put 2 or 3 different questions together to even get enough volume to even make it worthwhile, even so they had a survey. And I know some people are gonna say I'm wrong, but I was here. The biggest vote getter of public restrooms, so I will tell you just how important that survey was. So we can get the numbers any way we want to. We can play sleight hand, we can do whatever we want to. We can get the numbers. But the reality is reality. And I've been told by several people, and I asked the question after I left the meeting over here about no volunteers showing up. So I got my ear bit pretty good on that. Why you want to volunteer? If you're not in the clique, the 10, 12 people run this town, and you say anything that they don't want you to do, you're out. And I don't mean you in that clique, Mr. Mayor, because you haven't been on that board that long. We've only got probably 3 people or 2 people that even listen to the citizens in this town, as far as I'm concerned. And I feel like I can say what I want to, because I went to the polls and voted the other time. Some of them I voted for and some of them I ain't, but that's not true. So we need to listen to the truth. And talk about keeping up these trails. It says it's going to cost anywhere from $400,000 to $800,000 to put these trails in. I'm sure by the time they get done with it, it costs us $1 million. And the question came up about keeping it up. It's kind of reminds me of when we got ready to put the parks in up here, we asked several times how much it's going to cost. We was told volunteers were going to take care of it. Well, that didn't last too long. Now we're paying over $100,000. $147,000, I think you figured that right. So what we're going to do? We're going to tell the people this property's taken to put the trails in. Oh, it's your responsibility to keep that little path up by your house. That isn't fun. That's just like telling people they got to move the ditch out front of the house and the state owns the property. Can't make people do that. City of Greensboro tried that, it didn't work. Because they got the water back. And I'm sure that there will be several people that have volunteered to do things that ain't going to keep getting volunteers. Because the people that burnt my ear have had to tell me, we got paid people in the town to do it, we don't need to volunteer anymore. They take my tax dollars, I don't voluntarily give them, and I certainly not going to give them my time. So I think that answers your question, why we don't have as many volunteers as we had before. Because the interest is not there, because they're not involved in it like they used to be. When the town first started, everybody was involved. My time up.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Green. Simmons.
Hello, y'all. My name is Tom Simmons, 8 Holstone Place. I'm not even really a resident of Summerfield, so I don't know if I'm allowed to talk, but I'm a member of SRA baseball, and my son played there for 2 years. And I don't even know all the details, except it looks like we're losing the use of the Summerfield Athletic Park, and I just don't understand it. I think the kids really enjoy it. It draws a lot of people to Summerfield, to your town. I've never even really heard of Summerfield. And I lived in Greensboro until we started playing baseball. And now we spend our money here, we come here regularly. We now go to a charter school that we would even never even known about if we weren't playing at that field. So our money is going back into Summerfield. And we recognize this is a cool community to be in, and budget-wise, it seems like in the future you're gonna earn more money and more tax dollars from allowing this program to even grow more. We attract players from all over the area, and they come to your town, and they end up wanting to stay here. So I just let the kids play there. That's all I want to say. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Karen Knight.
I'm Karen Knight, I live at 7503 William Bailey Road, and I am here to support our government. And I'm here to talk about what's going on with the ball fields. My feeling is the citizens of Summerfield voted these people in. These are the council people that as a town we voted in. And they made a decision about the ball field for everybody. everybody be paid the same amount. And I think that that's the way our government works. I don't think anybody's gonna hurt any children. I've also pulled the tax return for the SRA, and when you're sitting on a net of 64,000, I don't understand the hardship. Because I own a business, I don't get it. And I think that in this day and age, I think we live in a great country, okay? But I think we're raising children today that are very entitled, and they think that everybody needs to give everything to them. When I was a kid, when I was playing softball, volleyball, we had car washes, bake sales, you name it. We did whatever we had to do to earn the money for our team, and it's a great character builder. And I think that would be something that, I mean, if you have a car wash, I'll come. I'll bring all my business trucks. I mean, I think people would support you. I also think that, you know, businesses will support you. I mean, I'm hearing like people won't support you because there's no banners anymore. I went through my books this week of last year, what we gave out just from my own company. And we wrote 50 different checks to 50 different teams. Some of them were bigger, some of them were smaller, but I think you can do it. I don't think the town of Summerfield and the residents need to pay for this. And that's what the council voted on. And so I'm just asking you that if they say everybody pays the same amount, I think everybody should pay the same amount because we elected them. They had a meeting and this was their decision. And that's pretty much all I have to say. And I think you should give all these people a hand because they're all volunteering doing this, and I'm giving them a lot of credit. My hands up for everybody.
Sherry Pickett.
Good evening, Jerry Pickett, 7804 Robinson Road. And I want to say that I agree with the person who just spoke before me. Sorry. I also just wanted to mention that if there's been some guidelines for the SRA, like with the amount of Summerfield children we have, if it's, I know that it's a certain amount, then that was what was set up in the beginning. I mean, I do know that the lights are the most expensive thing out too. So paying for the lights, I think, would be helpful. And I am still supporting the council. I recently heard someone say that they would like for Summerfield to be a more positive town. And I believe that being positive is sometimes stating a problem that they might see, stating problems that need to be solved, and then maybe offering a feasible solution. That's being positive to me. It's being negative if someone stood up here and mentioned these problems that are going on and how they feel about it, and then say, oh, it's just no use. It's just hopeless. There's just not any way we can, even attempt to try to solve this problem. To me, that's negative. And I just wanted to say that publicly, that I think that we are a very positive town, even though a lot of us have 5 minutes to stand up here and say how we feel, our opinion. And many times there is something we see that we would like to have a solution for. So I just wanted to mention that. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Piper. Allison Roy.
Allison Roy, 7395 Mitcham Forest Drive. Zip code 2735. That's a big issue for the SRA thing. I'll just start off by saying I don't like politics. I don't like most politicians because most of the elected politicians that we have tend to speak out of both sides of their mouths. And yes, we did elect each of you, but that was probably on a very different premise and a different platform than some of the things that we've seen since then. I just got to speak for all of us, and I know that we'll all be probably voting a little bit different when we come next election. Being said that I don't like politics, what I do like, I like kids. I have 3 of them. I'm on the PTA at Summerfield. I'm around kids all the time, and I like baseball. I like baseball a whole lot. And I like what I see that baseball can do for kids. I am in a situation, being in the classroom, that I see these kids on at least a couple of times a week basis. And I've seen quite a few kids come through the SRA program that the only person that has ever told them they believed in them or thought that they could do something or had any work were these SRA coaches that you sitting on this front row. And I've seen it carry over into their schoolwork. I've seen it written about in their schoolwork. And these guys are all a volunteer army. Last I checked, some of you guys were not. You were a paid army. And these guys are putting heart and soul into our kids that you guys are not backing up. I understand there's a lot of financial issues at stake. I also understand that the president of SRA has offered you all several options and alternative solutions. There are quite a few children that, if this goes through, are not going to hear those coaches say, I believe in you. And those are your kids that down the road are going to be your problem kids and are going to be your kids that fall by the wayside and fall through the cracks. These coaches spend more time and more energy, mental and physical, on these kids than any of you can comprehend. Because, quite frankly, most of you guys, I know you find that amusing, Elizabeth, I'll remember that for next election, but I live with one of these coaches. So I know the time that my personal family sacrifices, but I also see these kids being believed in, and I see these kids becoming more responsible young men. You all like to say it's just a game, it's just baseball. It's not just a game, and it's not just baseball. It's real life, and as a mom, that is important to me. And as a grandparent, a mom, a dad, whatever you might be, because there's a lot of us in this room, that's something to think about tonight when you lay your head down on that pillow and when you think about what you want to sign off for. Thank you. And do I have any time left?
Go ahead, you do.
Okay. How much time do I have left, Dana?
Well, you have 3 minutes and 27 seconds.
Oh, I do?
So you
Well,
have-
that's how much you
Okay,
spent.
so, all right.
So you've got
Good
till
math, so I
5.
got a little bit more time. Let me go back to the mic. Just for any of you that came in late or weren't sitting on the front row, Alicia feels like our time here tonight is a waste of time. So for all of you who showed up for SRA and who showed up for other town business, I do apologize for wasting your time tonight, but I think these kids are important. So,
I want to reply to that.
please do.
I did say it, but you don't know what I was talking about. You have no idea what I was talking about.
Well, if you said it, Alicia, in reference to something else, then I will publicly apologize.
You don't
for that.
need to.
We know.
Okay,
You don't
okay.
need to.
Thank you. Paul, Boyd?
I live at 7715 Summerfield Road. In July of 2014, towards the end of the month, I have a Verizon Air Pack to get out on my computer. Air Pack is supposed to, jet pack is supposed to be the most secure way to get out on the internet. Someone hacked my account. And my Verizon company told me, they said, whoever did this within 1,000 feet of your house, it would have taken some amount of time to try to, it'd be good at figuring out the lottery balls. But they decided to hack into my account. Verizon asked me to leave, I'll change the passwords, let's try to hack it. On the 22nd or 21st of July, August, I got hacked again. This time it started going into my email account. Now this is a neighbor.
And they went into the accounts, they went into all my email accounts, and sent to all my email recipients a sexually explicit email on a product called a horse image you put on the male member for pleasuring a woman. They spent a lot of money doing this. This is sick. I was on the phone with Verizon trying to work it out and warned them. If you have any idea who might have done this, and as I walked out my front door and looked over my neighbor's house, they are packing their cars as quickly as they can. Took off for the weekend, left every house like burnt on their house. You know who it is. And so I called the police department because Verizon says they can't do anything about it. It's a legal matter. The police come out on Monday, take a report. They say there's nothing they can do except go after the eBay stuff. They hacked my eBay account too. They've hacked my minutes, they've hacked my plan, and they've gone after. I had customers calling me going, I have small children in my house. What is this sick stuff you're mailing us? Our police department, the sheriff, haven't done it yet. They said they took a case, I haven't heard anything. Verizon said if this was any other town, any other state, there would be federal charges on this, there would be arrested. Nothing has happened about this yet. And this is sick. I'm trying to move out of here, but I can't even sell my house. Who am I going to sell my house to put them through this kind of crap? Because this is a neighbor. We know who the guy is. We know who the family is. And I know the dates, times this has come in. This is sad. Because the police department, the sheriff department, did nothing for it. I called back and said, well, we're not going to do anything. Because eBay has their own police. eBay says the sheriff in your department has to do it. So there really isn't any laws out there. There aren't any rules. There's nothing to follow anymore. This is sick. It's sad. I want to mention something, and I've talked to people on the city council before. Some that are still here, and some that have gone on. We got a drug problem. For 20 years, I've had a neighbor selling drugs at his house. I watched it as his kids grew up. Kids distributed stuff. He would stop by, pick up little brown paper bags, and go. I called about it on and on and on. I remember sitting on the front porch of my house, 1999, the smell of dope. That's pot, smoke in the front yard. It was so thick. I had somebody over and they said, I smell pot. And I said, yeah, my neighbor sells it. I said, why didn't you do something about it? I said, oh, you can call them, they won't come. They ignored the calls, on and on. It slowed down for a while, it's picked up again. Because cars are coming in, picking up little bags, cars are going out. I watched the kids distribute it. I watched the kids come home from school, sit on the porch, smoke the pot, mom and dad. This has been going on for 20 years now. This is sick. Something's got to be done. Because there's people on this town council I've talked to said, we're aware of it. What do we do? And nothing is ever done. That's just sad. I got to show you this. Every one of these little houses down there, this doesn't happen. This is my number one. We marked a bunch of these houses in the neighborhood. These little plaques. These plaques are a black plaque. This represents the dark side of this town.
So, Mr. Bowlby, time's up. Thank you. Beth Kaplan.
Beth Kaplan, 7979 Hartwell Road, and I voted every year that I've been for vote since I was leaving the vote. That's one of the So Summerfield is an attractive community with excellent schools, parks, developing trail systems, and low taxes. Respectful of the past and focused on the future. It's a great place for families to live, grow, and play.
That is what's stated on the town website. But are we focused on the future, and are we a town that will be a great place for families to live, grow, and play? I'm not sure with all the discussion that seems to have been going on lately about the ANY Greenway. It seems that once again, the council's back to its apathetic ways and seems not to be able to follow through with plans that have already been set into motion by some citizens of Summerfield and the very council itself. The citizens have met and made it clear that trails along with bikes and sidewalks are very important to them. These ideas are listed as a second common objective in the comprehensive plan, a comprehensive plan that the town spent a large amount of time and money on. And the policy 2.11 of the comprehensive plan states trails and bike-related improvements and maintenance should be an integral component of the town's annual budget for public infrastructure. The council itself has made many steps towards the trail system. It has required many developments to set up a trail system inside their subdivision in order to get subdivision approval. They have signed an agreement with NCDOT that states the department and the NCDOT shall construct the multi-use underpass on 220 with project funds as a continuation of the Mountain to Sea Trail, and the municipality, that would be Summerfield, must construct the Atlantic to Yakima Greenway, the ANY Greenway, to provide connectivity with other greenway segments of the Mountain to Sea Trail in the area. One of the concerns I've heard about not wanting to go forward with the ANY Greenway is that some members of the council didn't realize it was going to be a paved greenway. But it states in the ANY feasibility study that the town accepted in February 2012, the ANY Greenway is recommended as a 10-foot wide asphalt multi-use trail. National Greenway design standards call for 10-foot to 12-foot widths for shared use trails with concrete or asphalt surfaces. Trail width impact the ability for both pedestrian and cyclists to safely travel with two-way traffic. A paved surface requires less maintenance, is more stable for seniors, more amendable for strollers, rollerblades, or skates, and is also required to access transportation funding. Seems pretty straightforward to me. And why wouldn't you want to pave greenway? Wouldn't you want as many of your citizens to be able to enjoy it? Doesn't that lead back into our website statement that Summerfield is a great place for families to live, grow, and play? So I, as a taxpayer, who took the time to attend the ANY open houses, the comprehensive plan open houses, and thought that the signing of the NCDOT contract that the ANY Greenway was a done deal, is confused on why we were revisiting the idea of a greenway. I did my job, and now you need to do yours. Build the greenway. Thank you.
Clark, Doggett.
Clark, 7986 High Road, so there'll be no confusion. That was my daughter speaking just before I came up. I want to talk about the ANY Greenway. Every plan, every study has shown that the number one thing citizens want in Summerfield is a trail. For about 5 years, we have known that the tunnel was going to 220. In about 2 years, it will be finished. The town and county have a parking lot that extended the ANY Greenway to the east side of the tunnel. Citizens of Summerfield expect the ANY to pick up on the west side of the tunnel, finishing the net to the Stokesdale part of the ANY. We understand this will not all happen at once, but we would like to see a start. We've had 5 years to work on this, and as I understand this, nothing has been done. Stokesdale has some signed easement for part of their ANY. Sunday, I walked on the ANY Greenway. I'm on the ANY Greenway 4 or 5 times a week. But Sunday, I walked on the ANY Greenway and saw at least 15 children under 6 riding on bicycles, tricycles, scooters, several children running and playing, parents pushing strollers, parents with bicycles pulling strollers, many runners, many walkers with and without dogs. This would only happen on a 10-foot wide trail. Gravel trails, mulch trails, children can't ride bicycles, parents can't push strollers, elderly people have difficulty walking on it. Rainy weather like we've had is not good. And if anybody's kept up with the news, in the recent past, 3 bicycle deaths have occurred in the area near us.
If you stop and think, if the 8-mile trail had been finished, they may have been on the trail. We don't know, but they could have been on the trail. And this fire department comes in very often asking for help on vehicles and other things from the fire department. Their statement says that if we save one life, it's worth the price of it. The same is true with the trails. If one bicycle life to save of being on the trails is worth it. I, like many other people, make annual deposits in the bank account of Summerfield each year. Now we want to have a withdrawal and construct the 8-mile trail. The citizens of Summerfield want it. I would like to run on it if I can, if it's finished in time. People, this is the right thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Doug. Anthony Bravo.
Anthony Bravo, 6989 Greenwood Circle, Summerfield. I'm going to forego the speech and just have a handout that I'd like to present. It basically just shows the actual cost per child to SRA to play at the SAP field. Most of the other areas around here, they either give the ballpark town takes care of it or possibly charge $10 per player. I'm looking at this and it's $58 or $40, depends on which way you want to look at it. It's very, very different. But it's 5 times more than anybody else. So just wanted to take that home, look at it. And that's really where our issue really is the cost per child. It's not that we charge the same amount as somebody else, but the rates are just too high.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ryan Montgomery. Thank you, Ryan.
Montgomery also have 2 younger sons that play ball well too, and are very supportive of SRA and at Town of Summerfield.
Thank you. Michael Elliott.
Michael Elliott, 4300 Joseph Hosky Road. And I'm on the board with the SRA, and like obviously said, the fee changes, and I think there's been a lot of back and forth on this. I just want to address a couple of key points of which I feel like the town making a decision on, which is fairness or equality and the taxpayer burden. Those are the 2 primary points that I see. So first, equality. To an earlier point, it seems fair to make everyone pay the same rates, right? So let's look at that. And Anthony's handout shows a fee increase, relative to players of $50 per child, right? So if we pass that on to our families, that's a very high rate increase relative to the surrounding communities. We just really can't afford to do that. So that means that the SRA cannot afford to play at SAP facility. Now, as a Summerfield resident, I have a ball player, soon to be 2 ball players, and if I want to use those facilities, my only option now is the travel ball squad. Right. Travel ball squad, however, has a much different cost level. The fees associated with travel ball are much more expensive. So the policy is eliminating a certain economic class for using the field. And if you follow on with that line of reasoning, the travel squad also requires that you have a certain level of athletic talents to actually get on the team. So the policy is creating a situation where you have to be athletic and you have to be a certain economic class or above to utilize the field. So, our program is nonprofit. We offer scholarships to kids in need. We're trying to reach all of the community. I know we have a lot of residents outside, but we feel like that's a positive thing. If you look at our surrounding communities, Oak Ridge is a good example, where they want to have a program and they can't get there. Part of the reason is they don't have to pull, they don't have to draw. And that's what makes it good for surrounding communities, but also for our kids in our community, because the volume of kids that play there make it a much richer environment. So leading into the taxpayer burden, I understand trying to lower burden, nobody wants to pay high taxes, but the commitment to the ballpark was made 5 years ago. And I don't know who was on the board at that time or the council, but that commitment was made. Once we put down the money, we built the thing. The burn is there. You cannot erase that, right? It is there. So we just have to choose how we deal with that. And if you look at the year-on-year projected budgets going from 20K to 29K, we're talking about a $9,000 increase. We're $70,000 away from revenue neutral. There's no way we're getting revenue neutral on this. This is a taxpayer burden. There's no way around it. So we need to accept the fact that we have a taxpayer burden and work an equitable solution so that SRA can use the field and support a community program. There really has been a gem in the community. What is the brand of Summerfield? I think there was someone discussing this. Jeff here called it Mayberry, right? So it's a slice of Americana, right? We moved here because we got an outstanding school system. People talk about trails and parks we have. The rec program is a gem that has been long-standing in the community, and we want to support that. Surrounding communities want to support it. You know, Oak Ridge has a lower fee structure than our reduced rate. They're actually paying $10 for non-residents and free for residents. So if we look at the surrounding communities and see how they handle the problem, it's much different. They would love to have our situation. We have a situation. We just want a partnership so that we can embrace the situation we have.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Comment on that? If you'd like to fill out one of these.
But that's why you said after someone goes, if I want to stand up and support what they said, I could do that.
Well, if I have a slip, then you're welcome to it. We are about 34 minutes into public comments at this point, and we're only 3-4 away from being able to hear everyone who came. I hate for people to come and not have the opportunity to be heard. Would anyone like to make a motion that we extend it?
I would be happy to make that motion so that we hear everybody that's here tonight.
We'll extend public comments 20 additional minutes.
That's fine with me.
Motion by Ms. Flowers.
I second.
Second by Mr. Adams. All in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Okay, Richard Lovett.
Richard Lovett, 7812 Spencer Brook Drive, Summerfield, North Carolina, 27358. Let me start off with a definition. Policy. It is an official adopted position with regard to preferred and required courses of action. The primary purpose of it is to provide guidance to decisions and actions. When a policy is applied, it does not go away. When the policies may be amended, such changes should be infrequent and provide for a consistent and predictable decision. That's in your adopted comprehensive plan. Okay. That was adopted in 2010. Look, Summerfield values its open space, parks, and recreation facilities. They define the community's image, quality of life. To serve the increased number of children, families, and senior citizens and others calling Summerfield home, the town shall provide quality parks, recreation facilities, and services commensurate with the community's needs. That's another one of your policies. That's in the comprehensive plan. The town shall also proactively work with organizations that provide recreational programming to Summerfield residents to meet the recreational needs of the community. Another one of your policies, page 62, policy 7.7. The comprehensive plan also states that while the town of Summerfield has no formal in-house recreation programming staff or function, the community must rely on the Summerfield Recreation Association. Again, in your comprehensive plan. Okay, I find the actions of the Town Finance Committee by requesting to obtain copies of SRA's finances, and by extension, the town's action, to be counter to the productive, proactive working with portion of the policy previously stated. The only reason to request this information would be for the town to determine the maximum amount that they could charge SRF. This is akin to going to a gas station, filling up your tank, at which the gas station attendant says, I need your tax forms to determine how much I feel you should pay for the gas that you just put in your tank. I guess someone from the Finance Committee took a page from the book Atlas Shrugged on the best way to run government. Look, parks and recreation facilities are one of the key features that separate communities with high quality of life from those that claim to have such but do not. In some communities, these facilities are viewed as features that are nice to have, but are only of secondary importance. This is not the case in the town of Summerfield, where families with children have moved to the area in large numbers in search of organized outdoor activities like Little League baseball, horseback riding, soccer, and cycling. Page 62 of your comprehensive plan. I do find it interesting that the comprehensive plan did not state that the families moved to Summerfield, but just to the area. The comprehensive plan clearly indicates that Parks and Rec are of primary importance to Summerfield. Based on the reports in the Northwest Observer, the town staff council is reporting that all parks are bursting with demand. I guess council and staff is indirectly saying that we don't have enough ballparks. But you can just cut the property taxes and sacrifice the town's position and monetary means to meet the needs of the community policy component of the comprehensive plan. I don't see the discussion about adding parks to either the budget or in public discussion. I'm confused on the town's stance. Are they proactively working with SRA and we have enough ball fields? Or do we have too much demand and we need more ball fields? Pick one, but the council needs to comply with the established policies that were articulated in the comprehensive plan, and they're not communicating their intentions to the public clearly. Also, I believe the town is addressing the residency issue not quite fairly. I rented the ballpark for a baseball game for my kids. They had a birthday bash. More than 60% of the kids in attendance were not Summerfield residents. Should I have to pay a non-resident fee even though I'm a resident? Or do I have to certify something that says that so many people attending the baseball field are of Summerfield residents? Well, I had a nice little closing statement, but I can't do that now because I missed my kid's baseball game or baseball practice. But thank you for your time.
Dwayne Crawford.
Dwayne Crawford, 1106 NC Highway 150 West. Item later on your agenda tonight is the vote get appointed to a committee. At least I assume it's still in there. I haven't read it. I'm assuming it is. And I want to get up here and mention a question that you took me aside at one point during one of my questions. I thought you asked an excellent question. You asked, do I understand that on this committee that it's non-political? And I thought it was an excellent question. I tried to answer it honestly and sincere. That I understand that an appointment to one of these committees is not a appointment to use it as a platform to do other than what that committee's intent is. It should not be on the zoning board committee and trying to use it as to push an agenda saying trails or the SRA. It's a pure zoning, and that's what I need to limit it to. If I get appointed to this, I understand the finance committee is limited to finance, and I just want you all to hear that I do understand. And I want to use that as a segue that before I got engaged in Summerfield up here paying attention to what was going on, I knew we were a big town and spread out, large population, but over a large geographic area, so it's low density. And I never realized some of my neighbors could be so, their ox could be gored so easy that the town government could be a focal point to start coming out and saying, oh, I deserve, we need better. That, I thought we incorporated to be a limited services, low taxes town. Get along, go along, be who we are, take care of our own needs, our own wants, and not come up here and practically demand that our needs be taken care of first. And it's, I find it very distressing where I see our town going. This is very disturbing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Kathy Flanagan.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and it does work coming up here. I announced the free little library at Golden Antiques, and because it was seen in the paper around the town of Summerfield, we received a very large carton of children's books to be in the free little library. I am from Golden Antiques, but I am a resident at 7532 Strawberry Road. This week we have a yard sale going on. We hope that you will come and attend. But more importantly, I'd like to encourage you all to come for the meet and greet of candidates on October 5th, Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4. Thank you for always for this opportunity. As a grandmother of 9, I like them outdoors playing ball. Okay, and I understand. I just hope that working together as a town that everyone will be happy. But I thank you.
Mr. West.
Thank you. Barry Wasoli, 27358 residence, 8208 William Wallace Drive, Summerfield. Also, I'm the president of SRA and have been on the board for 8 years. My wife's not thrilled about it, but that's what it is. So, on April 7th of this year, let me preface that by saying the town did us right originally when we had the ball fields for $10 per player. Okay, that was a great deal. We were in financial duress, and they stepped up and did the right thing. And we appreciate that. That was something that we needed at the time in order to keep our program going and keep it solid. So, as years progressed and we got stronger and financially sound to address the question about our finances and about feeling entitled, I was a little insulted with that word, but Glenn and I decided, Glenn Garner and I, who was VP, and I was VP at the time, on April 7th, initially we were going to meet for a cup of coffee with Mayor Tim Justice. We ended up meeting at the town, and Scott joined us and Jeff Ford. We handed over our check for the spring session, and I said, guys, listen, I get it. The $10 per player is not fair. It's not a win-win-win for everybody. We can afford to pay more, and we want to pay more. The meeting lasted for an hour. We went down many paths. We brought up some old stuff that happened, which I promised that would not happen again. They asked for our financial records. For some reason, our president and treasurer did not want to give them up. I said, if you call me, you'll have them in 24 hours. They have the public access, so you can go online and get them. Should we have done that? Absolutely. Were we wrong in doing that? Absolutely. We should have just turned them over and given them to the town. I didn't agree with it, but I was not the president at the time. So during that meeting on April 7th, not once, and Tim and I have had a separate conversation about this, not once did anybody mention a budget meeting. We were new to it. Glenn was new. I was coming into a new role. If I'd have known that showing up at the budget meeting would have made all this go away, I would have been there 20 minutes early, ready to go and talk and negotiate with you guys. We sent 3 counter proposals to the town, and all of them were turned away. Now, I understand it's written in stone, and it is what it is, but we are your biggest customer. You put a 451% increase on us. So if you go to buy your milk or your dry cleaning, and you spend $4.25 on your milk, and you walk into the store and they say, we want to charge you $9.50, are you going to buy the milk there? Or if your shirt's $1 and they raise it to $4, are you going to do your dry cleaning there anymore? Basically, we had no choice. You see the numbers. There was no way we could carry that over, okay? And I want to address entitlement and $64,000 in the bank. Our organization is cyclical. Right now, we have registration. $41,000 comes in registration. Checks go out to umpires, they go out to equipment, they go out to our maintenance, and they go out to field improvements. So if you look at our business right now, you would say, wow, we're sitting on a lot of cash. Every single penny is put back into the program. You talk about entitlement, you talk about fundraising, you talk about car washes. Well, you know what? Come out to Banner Day. We had 700 kids out there on Banner Day, and SRA funded the entire event. We were charging $1 for hamburgers. People are like, are you crazy? You're not charging enough. It wasn't about making money. It was about bringing a community of 700. Tim was there. Tim came and he saw it. Softball games, wiffle ball games, kickball games, a bouncy house, face painting. Well, you guys come out and see that. And then you can tell me that we're entitled and that we need to raise money. Because there were 68 sponsors of our league last year that were willing to fork over money because they saw it as a good investment. And they saw it as an organization that is doing the right thing. And that's all we want to do. Thank you.
That will conclude our time of public comments. Thank you, Barry. And I would say to all the public comments reference to the Summerfield Recreation Association and to the Summerfield Athletic Park that please know and understand that every single person up here, I don't think with any exceptions, care about children and their opportunity to participate in athletics. And I think we all realize the great value that Summerfield Recreation Association brings to bear on the needs of our children and their opportunity to get out and be able to play ball, whether it be baseball, softball, basketball. My kids participate. I have 7 kids. Coach soccer, football, and girls softball for 30 years. So have a lot of experience in that area myself, and have run a softball league for girls before. So I know that there are costs involved. You know, I've studied this a great deal, and I've talked with a lot of SRA members. I've talked with a lot of citizens. I've talked with our town staff, and the conclusion that I have come to, and it's nothing we're going to vote on, so I'm speaking just from my heart here, is that this whole thing started out as a partnership. It was to be a partnership between Summerfield Recreation Association and the town. And along the way, mistakes have been made. You all have stepped up and taken ownership of your mistakes. We'll step up and take ownership of our mistakes. Mistakes have been made along the way, but the thing that makes the partnership work is, is coming together and communicating and having a contract with expectations. Expectations that we have of SRA, expectations that SRA can have of the town of Summerfield. While everyone up here cares for children all over, I'm not real big on the boundaries of Summerfield town limits. I really appreciate what Mr. Spick has said in reference to that. It's about kids getting out and not playing video games. I agree with that. But what's happened here is it's a volunteer-run organization, and so I know how those things cycle. A lot of times you'll have a parent who will stay involved and stay plugged in after their kid's gone, but a lot of them, and I would say the majority, based on my experience, my personal experiences, they'll be there, and when their kid leaves the program, they kind of go behind their children. And so because of that, I think there's been a continuity issue, and I've looked back through the minutes, and if you look back at the minutes from 2010, if you look back at the minutes from 2012, it says, you know, the president of SRA or some board member of SRA came and said, hey, it's a whole new board, we're starting over again, which is pretty much the same conversation period that we had in April. And that's what you're left to, and it's very difficult to maintain continuity. And
But Tim, I've been on the board for 8 years because I'm the third president in 8 years. I think that's pretty good continuity.
yeah, well, I'm saying that to try to understand the failures that we have had for you guys and you guys have had for us, because I really would like for us to have the opportunity to work together. Summerfield is not interested in having our own recreational association, and you guys provide an excellent service. So the thing that I would encourage you to do, you know, the ship has sailed for this fall season. There's still some time before the spring season. Just like you say, a way to a man's stomach is through the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. The way to the Summerfield athletic fields is through Mr. Jeff Ford. And I would encourage you guys to talk to him, to try to sit down, try to reason through this. You know, it does nobody any good for name calling. I've seen some of this played out on Facebook. You know, we need to move toward one another instead of drawing lines in the sand and really discuss what the issues are to try to resolve the issues. Because I assure you, we want the children playing ball at Summerfield Athletic Park. There's no question. So if you all would do that and pursue that and come up with something that Mr. Ward feels like is a good situation for SRA and is a good situation for the town of Summerfield, he can take it to Mr. Whitaker, Mr. Whitaker can give it to the town council, and I assure you we'll be open and willing to consider and listen to what you got. The proposals that you brought, while they were all very interesting, were after the vote had been taken. And so at that point, the Finance Committee had made recommendations, the Town Council had voted on the budget, and at that point, it's kind of out of everybody's hands unless something, you know, comes up or something causes that to change. So that's kind of where we are. I appreciate you folks coming and know that you've been heard and that we want very much to make it work out. Okay?
Good, thank you.
I think we'll take a 5-minute recess and we'll reconvene about 5 minutes.
vice chairperson is Don Delton. There's currently a vacancy on the finance committee due to the fact that Dale Perry has moved away from the town of Summerfield. He's moved out of town limits. He submitted his resignation, and we certainly appreciate all Dale's work over the years. He's served since 2010 on the finance committee. Finance committee will not meet in September. The next meeting will be on October 20th.
Thank you. Next was our historical committee.
We did not meet during the summer, had our first meeting back in August, and I've got some good news for you. We worked for 5 years on getting Virginia on the National Register. Finally did it. We got the plaque. Yes, we got the plaque, and we're going to have an unveiling on the 20th of September. It's a Saturday at 11 o'clock, and the town council already has their invitation from them, and the whole community is invited, especially the alumni, the ones that play ball and Virginia and all. And I've already sent word to the alumni, and hopefully have a good crowd. It will be open that day, so in case it's raining, we can go inside. But I hope a lot of you will come. We're very proud of it. That's the only building still standing of the original buildings on the school property. And we could not let that be torn down. But anyway, I hope you will be there. If you have any questions, ask any, and we'll have light refreshments, very light refreshments. And it'll be a short little ceremony, but I hope everyone.
Thank you. Now we hear from public safety.
The public safety has somewhat been on a hiatus this summer, but will have its next meeting September the 17th.
Okay. Thank you. Trails and open space.
And we have our next meeting September the 24th. We continue to work on our options with the trail. I think one thing that's happened since our last trails meeting is there's been just, and since our last council meeting, is there's just been more community conversation. Some of that's been on Facebook, some of it's been by way of Northwest Observer, SummerfieldNews.com. It's just being in the forefront, and as I promised everybody, I'm just sending feedback directly to the council and directly to the Trails and Open Space Committee pro or con about the trails. And it's not the ultimate and end-all way to get more communication or to get more feedback, but it helps. I think you've heard some citizens' comments on that this evening about that citizens have already spoken in relation to this. And I'll tell you a little bit more about our Mountains to Sea Trail Conference in my report.
Thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Next is business from our town manager. Finance Committee vacancy, consideration of Dwayne Crawford.
As was mentioned in the Finance Committee report, we do have a vacancy. Bill Perry relocating nearby, puts him out of the corporate limits, and he did want us to pass along his just thankfulness for being able to serve on the committee. And with that, we have a vacancy, and just to revisit where we were at a couple of months ago in relation to the vacancy. Just to remind everybody, we did take care of the position in terms of reestablishing one committee member through the end of this fiscal year, but we didn't have an application from Mr. Crawford in by the deadline for the policy. Well, since we have a new vacancy, his application is up for consideration now. And so I think everybody knows Dwayne, and a Summerfield resident. He's completed all of the application and appropriate documentation, and he has been attending a lot of the, I haven't tracked your attendance since you're not a formal member, but has attended several recent Finance Committee meetings. And that is before you for your consideration. What we included, and besides the roster, was his actual application. and the relevant page of the Finance Committee ordinance. And also, that refers you, when it comes to terms of and appointing new members, refers you to our general ordinance, and you also have that in your packet if you need to refer to that under item 9B. So with all of that said, it's in your hands for consideration.
Any discussion, or do you want to like make a motion?
I think we already discussed this at the meeting where it came up before. And I think we discussed Dwayne's character and his ability to perform when we appointed him to the zoning board. And so I'll make a motion to appoint Dwayne Crawford to the Finance Committee to fill the vacancy.
Motion by Ms. Flowers. Second.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Ms. McClellan. Those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Those opposed? It fails 3-2.
Have we advertised that there is a position?
We have not. It came, the vacancy came up fairly quickly, just right before the last meeting, and we did have the one application on hand. Can certainly do that if you'd like to pursue that.
If you would put that there is, based on the following criteria, knowledge of subjects of investment, finance management, or accounting, professional experience in the subjects above, I think that would be helpful. I believe that there are certain committees that should have expectations of knowledge, and if Bill Perry was a senior mortgage consultant and had knowledge about that, I think it would be helpful to put that in the application or in the advertisement as well, Scott. Thank you.
Okay.
Can a council member apply for that spot?
No, as we have the position, your council member representation is the mayor. And it is an 8-member committee, and everyone on the Finance Committee has full voting status.
Item B, revision of continuity of operation plan, COOP.
This is an item that has been in effect in essence since late 2012. Just a brief bit of history. Our town clerk and former mayor had attended some training, and I'm not sure, Councilmember Barnes, if you were a part of that or not, but attended some training for this, and we had passed that in late 2012, and really just need to make some revisions since we've had some council member changes, some contact changes, some staff changes since then, and a few minor things. I was relying on our town clerk tonight. The changes were not that significant, other than those things mentioned, and I was relying on her to answer any questions about very specific words here or there, but I'll do my best because I helped update it too. So I specifically updated the organizational chart. Some things have changed there with the structure from when this was presented the last time. And if you have any questions at all, I'll do my best to answer.
We're required to have this by the state, is that correct?
Well, by the county.
By the county?
By the county.
Otherwise, we really wouldn't.
Well, I can tell you it came into play, for instance, this past March when we had the storms that come through. Remember, we did such damage down in Pleasant Garden. When we had those, Guilford County was actually under the state of emergency. And this is the very thing that was actually put in play then. Mayor Sussens was contacted, I was contacted, I was out of town. In that situation, we were pretty hands-off, but had it been a more dire situation in terms of infrastructure drainage and things that we would have been involved in.
I was actually contacted, sent a document that I had to sign, scan, and then send back in. But the whole conversation started with, Mr. Mayor, this is, we're declaring a state emergency, and we need to send you some documents to sign. And I thought it was some friend of mine. I said, let's do this. So they gave me the name, time of emergency services. I said, sure you are. So finally, he was able to convince me. I took the email and signed it.
But the county, it's the county emergency services. In that situation, it wasn't that dire, but it could be with that.
And it wasn't Pleasant Park?
Right, exactly. And it's our preparation and participation in the county's broader efforts. It's a good thing.
So you need a motion to adopt this revised plan?
Exactly.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adopt the revisions to the continuity of operations plan.
Motion by Ms. Flowers.
Second.
Second by Ms. McClellan. All in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous.
Next item, salvage demolition contractor approval for the Gordon property. On northern tract, we mean the main tract of acreage where there are a couple of technically 3 houses and mobile homes up to 220. And this is really the exact same process that we recently did with the southern tract where the flag building and blacksmith shop were. And again, it exceeds my authority to approve the amount. In keeping with our purchasing policies, we were to secure 3 written proposals. I actually have 4 for your consideration. To set that up, what we did was actually a walkthrough with everyone, so everyone had exactly the same information, and we would be comparing apples to apples quotes. And also, one of our staff members compiled the comparison that you see behind the agenda sheet. And it's pretty simple in looking at the numbers. The only real caveat, the only difference between these 4 quotes it is actually the per unit cost if we were to have a septic tank, 1 or more septic tanks that we needed to remove and deal with. And then a small caveat with DH Griffin is they are actually doing the BSHAP permits, which we talked about the last time. Turns out that's a pretty minor thing. I mean, I did it. It was some work because I've never done it before, but doesn't scare me at all to do it. But there is a little bit of advantage there for them doing it instead of me when you're looking at the comparisons. And we basically, out of the 4, just for the public's benefit, we had 2 that were on the low end, D.H. Griffith, $18,700. Anthony's Grading and Hauling, who did our work with the other track, $22,650. Oak Ridge Landscape Group, $64,500. And Doggett Construction, $65,325. And then you see the per unit cost if we have to deal with the septic tank. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. When the septic tank system, the new dual stage community septic tank system was put in, was just a year ago, not that long before the park closed, and it was supporting everything on that track. The house that we're keeping, the track, the 2 houses, and mobile homes that we'll be salvaging. And so all of that was put in, and I had Julie Reed talk with the county in reference to those septic tanks. And the only thing that we think could possibly be there that we might run into is 1 tank. Is basically. And Julie, did you have anything to add to that at all?
Just that it's the 2 old houses, and we weren't able to establish a connection between them and a septic system. And they had to have had one at some point, but we're not certain, so we suspect there might be an additional old septic tank those two houses share.
So that's the only risk, is that there's one additional septic tank? that would be-
Potentially one that we might have to deal with when you're considering that per unit septic tank price that's on your comparison sheet.
And does the Anthony's grading did not provide the permits, if that's correct?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And could you give just a, first of all, let me say something good. I thought Anthony's did a great job. I thought they did a good job. They were expeditious in their approach. They were very careful, and it looks great. And probably in another month, it's going to be a gorgeous green field there, which is great. And how much time did it take you when you filled out these permits, just in terms of a half a day, an hour, 2 days?
There was probably a half a day when you count. We had to do one for each building. We had to send them in. Then we actually had to modify the date based on the contractor's availability, which means you have to send them in again, get approvals back. Probably a half a day.
So that's just time away from your other duties, and with the fact that there's only one septic tank that's really that exposure to us for $1,200, yeah, it seems like a pretty obvious who you go with, from my perspective.
Are we obliged to take the lowest bid?
The lowest responsible bid is really the way statutes are written, and you may have something to add to that.
Griffin is a very well-respected contractor. The only reason we didn't choose them last time is because they were considerably
They
higher.
were considerably higher the last time on the other track.
But on this, I would be going to use the H. Griffin.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion that we, wording may not be exactly right, but that we extend a contract for the demolition of the remaining Gordon properties and the houses thereon, which would include 2 framed houses and 5 mobile homes, and extend that contract to D.H. Griffin. Reckon.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Adams, second in advance by Ms. Flowers. All in favor, please raise your hand. And it passes unanimously.
May I ask a question, Tim?
Yes, ma'am.
Ask a question about that.
Sir.
Could we not ask some of the Gordon family that we know, is there no septic tank?
We can. That's another call I was going to make today, and with having some of the staff out, it was just, I was short-handed, couldn't do it today.
Thank you.
Reports.
Okay, and
Updates.
yes, a few things. If you remember back several months ago, we had the Down Syndrome Network of Greater Greensboro come to us and request holding one of their annual fundraising walks. It's called a Buddy Walk here at the community park, and we talked quite a bit about that. A couple of ladies presented that to us that evening, and we had ultimately worked through some parking issues and agreed to hold that here October the 25th. And it turns out that group's board has decided to relocate the event. Ultimately, they were simply expecting too many people here at this park to make the parking work, and the elementary school was very kind to let them use the parking, but they still feared it wouldn't be enough. They were concerned about the bottleneck related to parking and the congestion here, because residents did express some concern about that, and they moved it to one of the, it's called Kiwi Park, over in Greensboro. It's one of their parks, and just wanted to report that that will not be happening. We've also talked about a council board retreat, and there are a couple of you still I'm waiting on Google response back from. If you'll get that to me, we've got some more information. I can't do much until I can give the potential moderators a date for work here. And so, but I'll be in touch with you on that as soon as a couple of you respond, and we have something to deal with there. Just wanted to bring that up, and I had mentioned earlier the Mountains to Sea Trail Conference. Myself and Paul Everett, chair of the Trails and Open Space Committee, had attended that last Thursday, Friday. Really a good training event, just a good informational, educational event for us. I learned a lot about the Mountains to Sea Trail program system, how it operates, where the real status of that, and of course I knew the basics about it, but learned about it much more in depth. Very valuable components of that were talking with some of the other communities around the state that have really done some interesting things, and even walking a new greenway there and seeing some of the construction methods they use that I think may ultimately be very beneficial to Summerfield. And we'll be talking more about that to the committee, but just wanted to thank you for allowing us to go to that. It was really worthwhile. And a couple of things you had asked to keep you abreast of some just progress on our 220 widening project and the I-73 project. Noticed at the last technical coordinating committee meeting with MPO that the dates have somewhat moved a bit on those projects, and now it looks like, according to the latest estimates, it looks like really basically December 2016 being the completion date of both of those, according to that list. And each one has moved about 6 months in the opposite direction. So 220 and I-73, but basically, beginning of 2017, we should have a very different landscape with those two projects. And that's all I have in my report this evening.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Whitaker. Business from the mayor and council. Item 9A, Summerfield Christmas tree lighting. Ms. Flowers?
Yes, last year the tree lighting was kind of a bust, in my estimation, because it was kind of last minute and there was no entertainment scheduled. It was, the year before was spectacular. So the reason I asked for it to be put on the agenda now is so that we could address the entertainment, the music, food, and is the tree being pruned and the lights being put on?
It is. I've got some updates about that.
Okay, so that's why I want it on the agenda, so that we can take care of it earlier, so that it turns out to be another spectacular event.
Thank you, Ms. Flowers. Ms. Whitaker, for updates.
Well, we have been doing certain things on that throughout the year. We've had, for instance, with lighting the magnolia tree, which is a major change, we're going to have to do something electrical-wise permanently. We're going to have to get an electrician in there, go cross-cut the drive, and get some power where we need it. We talked to an electrical contractor about that, and I think Jeff may have one quote on that already. We've really been researching what kind of lights, because that's real critical from my perspective. We don't want to put lights up and have to have them go out, not have them reliable, because we don't have a lift, and we're going to have to rent a lift to get this thing done. And so I shouldn't have let Jeff go home before we had this conversation. But we've done that. I know that Cheryl Gore is talking with one specific vendor on getting those commercial grade lights for the tree, and has given me the specs. So I'll go into that here. And those particular bulbs that we need are not in stock yet, but these are the same. So that's one of the delays on that. And then in terms of entertainment, those kind of things, I was hoping to get your input on that this evening to pass along. And she's working on that event, and that's the next big thing after this weekend's two events.
I'm going to email her if she wants me to get up at the singers we had 2 years ago. Although Diane was lovely last year, but it was very last minute. That she felt, pressure to sing. You did a good job. And so the food
Yeah, you know, we've talked about that each year, and we've had, I thought that was one of the things that actually went pretty well last year, because other than the weather, and that's the challenging thing. The year before, we had, we actually ended up running out of some food with the chicken nuggets, or chicken nuggets from Chick-fil-A, actually. This past year, we had a lot left over, but it was a really rainy, not the best weather evening, and we ended up donating a lot of that food to 3 different shelters.
The year before, I think we had 1 tray of cake left over that we gave to the firemen that were there. Last year, we had a lot of food left over. The year before last, is it Amy, is that her name?
Amy Warner, yes.
Yeah, I think she did a fantastic job, and I liked the cake and all the cookies, and it looked Christmassy. It looked like what kids might eat at Christmas time, just loaded up with sugar. So and I think she got those from Gardino's.
We did.
Yes, that was really nice. It made a nice presentation. And we just didn't have that Chick-fil-A, I guess that. Right, but we had we had some people.
Right. We had a few differences there. We had a perfect weather night 2 years ago, and a pretty dismal one last year.
So, you know, ask Cheryl to consider Gardino's again, because I thought they did a good job. The s'mores were always a hit both years, and the fire department was kind enough to do the fire for us, bonfire. All those things were really, really nice, and the luminaries.
And if the Caldwell group's not available, if you just let me know, I have several folks I can reach out to from an entertainment perspective.
Can we have somebody beside Caldwell, like somebody that plays music, just music and then sing?
Doctor to get count?
I don't know what you said. I must have been funny, but I didn't hear it.
Doctor, he's really popular.
Oh, yeah, I know who it is.
I was
Not
teasing
that
him,
old,
actually.
Mike. Yeah, as a matter of fact, he might be. So, yeah, the entertainment, I think, is important, and the advertising, and everything, so that people actually show up. So, what's the date?
It's
November 22nd
Saturday before Thanksgiving.
at 5:30.
Yeah, and that,
We also
Yeah,
changed
because after
the date
Thanksgiving,
last year, which was.
everybo's too busy.
Yeah, we changed the date last year, that was a poor date, I think, that first week in December. It's just
Yeah.
not good for people to,
Yeah.
never get their tree.
Oh, and the canned food thing is nice, little
Yeah, that was,
pantry. That should go.
yeah, they can bring a can of food or some food, that's very nice, and they take it to the Summerfield Methodist Church there for the food pantry, which is lovely.
and it's actually at 5:30 too. So on your calendar.
Okay.
Okay.
And the mayor's volunteered to come as an elf, I understand.
I will if you will.
I'm working on my costume
I
now.
went out of town for Labor Day and didn't shave for 5 days, and first time I have not shaven in 5 days in a long time. And my son told me on the way home, he said, "Dad, you really need to shave." Everything that came out was just as white as his shirt.
Santa Claus might be.
I said, "Why do I need to shave, son? Mom thinks this looks pretty good." And he said, "Because Dad, you look like Santa Claus." I shaved within 15 minutes of arriving home.
So you're gonna grow a beard and be Santa?
I couldn't grow a beard if my life depended on it, but I'll glue one on if you like.
I'm very partial to men with beards.
Okay. Revision of ordinances, ordinance establishing general rules of procedure for Summerfield committees.
When we were solving in July, I was trying to solve a couple of committee reappointments and folks that were up against term limits, and having that discussion, one of the things that came out of that was, a loose desire by council not to lose depth of experience from committee members. Specifically, the general ordinance that pertains to committees says each member may serve up to 3 two-year terms, 6 years total, and then gives some conditions and caveats to that. And the challenge is, and it's not consistent among different committees, because we frankly have more desire to serve on some committees than we do others. And so what we end up with is sometimes we have the term limit is good because it keeps people rotating, gives more citizens the opportunity to serve and volunteer and serve in that capacity with the town. On other committees, it can create a challenge because if they don't have enough interest and applicants for that particular committee, the term limits actually force members off that may be particularly well experienced and knowledgeable about that committee. So that's a tough thing to balance within our policy. And the gist of what I was hearing at 2 months ago, the discussion was that how do we put in some mechanism that doesn't automatically kick members off in those situations where we need to retain some of that experience. And I'm not sure if you'll feel like this is enough of a way to address the situation. I think it does that specifically, but if you'll look at page 3 of the policy, and I'll add that when we were talking about it, our town attorney wanted to weigh in on that and passed along his thoughts. We had worked on this together and he had passed along how he thought we might modify this to ultimately get closer to that. If you look on page 3 at the bottom, under the terms of office qualifications, item 1B, what you see in red is proposed changes. When you read some of these components of this policy in that area, the way it was worked before, it was a little bit confusing. I think this clears it up, and basically it says, what I'm proposing says this: if no citizen has been approved by council to fill an available seat, an existing member may continue to serve until the next fiscal year, clarified until the next following July 1st. If no new applicant is approved for that upcoming July 1st opening, then that existing committee member, regardless of the term limit status, may continue to serve until the next fiscal year or until the following July 1st. So just to give you a real live example, because it's handy and current, we had Ronnie Stafford, for instance, was up for consideration for the Finance Committee. He's reached his term limits, and ultimately the policy, before any changes, allows him to serve, because we didn't have an applicant at the time by the deadline, allowed him to serve another year through the end of this year. But at the next July 1, he basically has to go. And what this in essence does is it says that, okay, if we still don't have an applicant by then, he could serve another year. And he's just an example because it's handy and current, but that would apply to anyone. And if the council did appoint someone, well, that ends his term, but it gives you the leeway to think about when you're weighing a new potential applicant or candidate for a committee. It gives you another component there, dynamic, to weigh in terms of, okay, we've got a new candidate interested, and how do we think that candidate fits in comparison to the experience that we have on there? And I struck the line suggesting striking the line that says if the citizen applies and is approved by council during this period, then both the new appointee and the existing member may continue to serve until the end of the fiscal year. And so I know the attorneys reviewed this. Do you feel like that is a cohesive way to handle it?
It's better than what we had. The only question I have is whether you want to add a caveat there that a committee member may continue to serve consecutive fiscal years until somebody's appointed. I think it kind of already says that. It's just confusing
I
language.
thought that was understood, that they could stay for the fiscal year and the next fiscal year and the next, if nobody is appointed to take their place.
That's what we wanted to do. I don't know if our policy did what we wanted it to do once it comes to the face.
Do we need to add or until a new member is appointed? Because on the finance committee, you have a set number, so if you appoint a new member, then the one that's serving past his term would have to rotate. I don't like the term kick off. I think rotate off is much.
Well, I stand corrected on that. Under the wording where it says that no new applicant is approved for that upcoming July 1st opening, then that existing committee member, regardless of the term limit status, may continue to serve until the next fiscal year. I think when we say if no new applicant is approved, then that makes it clear, because if an applicant is approved, then obviously that member rotates off. Right.
Okay.
I want it to be clear. It's clear to me, and it's clear internally. We talk about this a lot, and but short decision.
Yeah, and you know, there's another part in here that I was reading that you did not upgrade, but it talks about an ex officio member. Let me see, it's 1, 2, 3 down. Effective on the date of approval of this ordinance, any current voting member of any committee that is not a resident of the town of Summerfield may serve an additional single 2-year term. We don't have anybody like that anymore on any of our committees, do we?
I lost the place you were talking about that, but as a reminder on this particular policy, we made a lot of changes to this about a year ago, and those ex officio that terminology and bringing it, making it consistent throughout was a key part of that. So we did revisit a lot of that, but I'm sorry I wasn't following where you were talking.
We have an ex officio member on the history committee, but she is a non-voting member. This addresses a voting member who is not a resident of the town of Summerfield, but she's not a voting.
Section 8, page 1.
So, and that was specifically, that was Bill Gordon, who was a member of the history committee, who was a voting member, but was not a resident of the town. But we don't have anybody like that anymore. And I won't belabor this point, but it might be something that you want to look over and change or revise.
Is Mary Jane Gordon not still on the commission?
Yeah, but she's an ex officio and she does not have a vote on that committee.
Okay.
This is a non-resident who has a vote on the committee, and we don't have anybody like that on any of our committees anymore. Are those the only changes you have on here?
Yes, because we had spent so much time on this one last year, this was just an update to try to accommodate the intent of what you were trying to do.
Is there any further discussion, or would someone like to make a motion?
I would make a motion that we have the revision establishing the new rules for the procedure for Summerfield committees as outlined here at the presented by
Motion by Mr. Adams.
And I have a question for Mr. Adams. Does this address your concern that you had when you decided to put it on the agenda?
Yeah, I was thinking it does, because of, you can extend it by a year. What I was more concerned about, as much as anything, is things of public safety nature, where there's people that have a vast knowledge of a specific field that they sit on a committee, and we lose that knowledge, basically. Then it causes a vacuum. But I believe that that vacuum can be filled based on the council who can appoint or continue to appoint someone who has it. Yeah, that's the way I see it. So as long as Mr. Hill agrees that that's the way to address it, and our manager does, I think that that would be accommodating.
And just a comment, part of the challenge of addressing it a little more directly, because I know one of the things we suggested is, well, what if we had, I think it was suggested maybe 2 positions that were basically exempt from those term limits, was I think the way it was proposed. And that seems really cumbersome, it just feels why. I know it applies more, perhaps, for instance, you mentioned public safety, but this general ordinance committee applies to all the committees. So it suddenly would create a situation that, well, we're doing that for all committees, and then the question is, well, how do you decide, and when do you decide that which positions do you decide meet that? Because the positions themselves are not always, for instance, it would be easy with me on the finance committee because the position's not about me, it's about the town manager on the finance committee. But with other committees, it's not designated by position, it's just a slot, if you will, for good members. And to me, that's a challenge. It makes it a lot more cumbersome. But this gets to the heart of that in a way. It's just not
Opportunity to address it.
And the same thing, I don't want to just isolate it to public safety, for example. I think the richness of what people bring in the historic committee is just, we can't lose that. We just can't lose that. Just to fill it with these people that don't have a richness behind them, we lose that. And I don't want to lose that.
No, I don't want to lose it either, but we need to have opportunity for other people to be.
Yeah, I would never want us to have an evergreen agreement on any one of the committees. In other words, if someone just keeps going. So I think this is covered.
Okay, well, I just wanted to make sure that answered your concern.
Yeah, thank you for
We have a
asking.
motion on the table by Mr. Adams. Who said?
Second.
Second by Ms. Flowers. All in favor, please raise your hand. It is unanimous. Any reports or updates or comments?
We have an MPM meeting that's going to be Wednesday, September 24th.
Would make mention that, a couple weeks ago, I attended the annual meeting of the Summerfield Fire Department, and we're down 18 volunteers from this year. So I would encourage you, if you know anyone interested in being a fireman or has been a fireman before that would like to volunteer, there's lots of opportunity to sign up there to be able to help out with the fire department. I signed up 2 Mondays ago. When I came home with my brand new pager, my wife was furious. So if anyone would be interested in that, it is an opportunity that exists.
Well, you would look a lot different dressed up as a fireman versus an elf.
Thank you, Mr. Happy. Any other reports or updates or comments? Yes, Ms. Laughlin.
I would just like to comment and say thank you so much to our past volunteers on committees, whether they are still in place or not. I was on a couple of committees that the council decided you have done your job. Thank you so very much. There also, it was addressed about, we don't have the volunteers we used to. This is true, but there's a new generation that has come along that mom and daddy both are having to work. They don't have the time that some of us had when the town was first incorporated. There's some people that have aged out. There's some people that are no longer with us that have gone on to heaven. So I still think we have a wonderful group of people who have stepped forward to volunteer when there was needed in their expertise in the area where they could serve, and where they had experience and so forth. And I want to say, publicly say, thank you.
Thank you. That's a wonderful point. Thank you very
I
much.
think the town says thank you with the baseball event, so that the volunteers know that they're appreciated.
And do we still send a certificate, will we send one to our retired person on the finance committee? Usually we present those, I just want to be sure that doesn't get overlooked with Valerie being out and.
Yeah, let me inquire, I'm not sure if she's done that.
But I know they only served for 8 years on the finance committee, and I'm certain they made that time. But we can send a certificate and we'll verify.
Anything else? Yes, Mr. Gill?
UDO. Julie and I are done with our edits. She's got an input them, and as soon as she inputs them, we'll have a draft start. We'll finish.
To circulate amongst the council?
Yes.
Great.
So we could be meeting with at public meetings as well.
Not yet, I won't do it until.
Are we gonna have, that's what I didn't know, are we gonna have any kind of discussion, or questions or whatever? Do you want to do that informally, once we get the opportunity to look at that? Do you want us to look over it and see if we have any questions or anything, or just direct?
Or ideas for changes?
I'm not that far ahead.
Okay.
One thing after Bill and Julie are done and tidy up those changes, I do need to spend some time with it just for consistency, formatting, and to, before it comes to you. But I think a good starting point would be to give you a draft. I mean, you're ultimately going to be voting on this and responsible for that vote, and just give you a little bit of time with it, because it is a big document, and get your feedback before we set public hearings and go further with that. I think that would be prudent.
And I think that was my intent, is I want to be sure that we get a chance to look over it, to read it, and to see if there's anything that we think. I mean, I know y'all are the experts or whatever, but we might see something that we think would be good or could be improved, that we can bring up before it's presented. Might be helpful.
Did you address the chicken issue?
We discussed the chickens today, as a matter of fact. And Drew backed me up, we talked chickens today. And he tried to figure it out, you know?
He asked me who was buying chicken tonight. Yeah,
We did, we talked about
we
chickens.
talked about chickens.
Okay. Any other comments, any other business? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Barnes, second by Ms. Flowers. All in favor, please raise your hand. We are, hey, thank all of y'all for coming.